From the chaos of war, a king was forged, not in a palace, but as a fugitive. This is the story of Robert the Bruce, the warrior king who clawed Scotland back from the brink of oblivion. His tale isn't just one of crowns and castles, it's a story of brutal choices, devastating losses, and a will so strong it would reshape the British Isles forever. Born in 1274, Robert the Bruce was a product of two worlds, the chivalrous Anglo-Norman culture of his father and the ancient Gaelic traditions of his mother. This unique upbringing made him trilingual, a skilled knight, and a master of the unconventional warfare that would later define his legend. His family, the Bruces, were one of the most powerful in Britain, with a strong, lingering claim to the Scottish throne. When Scotland's throne fell vacant, the English king, Edward I, stepped in to arbitrate, ultimately choosing a rival, John Balliol. The Bruces never forgot this. It set the stage for a lifetime of conflict, shifting loyalties, and a burning ambition that would either make Robert a king or see him destroyed. As Edward I, the infamous Hammer of the Scots, tightened his grip on Scotland, the country descended into the First War of Independence. In these early years, Bruce's path was anything but straight. He and his family, rivals of the ruling Balliol faction, initially sided with the English king. But as Edward's true intentions to subjugate Scotland became clear, a 22-year-old Bruce made a fateful choice. He joined the Scottish rebellion, declaring, "I must join my own people and the nation in which I was born." For a time, he even served as a joint guardian of Scotland alongside his greatest personal and political rival, John Comyn. The animosity between them was so intense that the arrangement quickly fell apart, and Bruce, seemingly defeated, once again submitted to the English crown in 1302. To many, his cause looked lost. But Bruce was just biding his time. The year 1306 would be the point of no return. Robert the Bruce knew that as long as John Comyn, a powerful noble with his own strong claim to the throne, lived, his own ambition would be forever checked. He arranged a meeting at the chapel of Greyfriars Monastery in Dumfries. What happened next is shrouded in the mists of history, but the outcome is brutally clear. A violent argument erupted, and Bruce stabbed Comyn before the high altar. Hearing that his rival was still breathing, one of Bruce E.S. followers rushed back into the church to mek sikar, to make sure. This act of sacrilege in a holy place led to Bruce's immediate excommunication by the Pope. He was an outcast from the church, a murderer in the eyes of his enemies. But there was no turning back. With the support of key Scottish clergy, he raced to Scone, the ancient crowning place of Scottish kings. On March 25, 1306, just 6 weeks after the murder, Robert the Bruce was crowned King of Scots. He had his crown, but he had a war to win. His reign began not with triumph, but with absolute disaster. An enraged King Edward sent his armies north, and Bruce's forces were shattered at the Battle of Methven. The new king was forced to flee, becoming a fugitive in his own kingdom. His family paid a horrific price. His wife and daughters were captured and imprisoned. 3 of his brothers were captured and brutally executed. Alone, hunted, and with his support seemingly evaporated, Robert spent a bitter winter in hiding, likely in the remote Hebrides Islands. It's during this desperate time that the famous legend of the spider was born, watching the tiny creature fail and fail again to spin its web, only to finally succeed. Whether true or not, it captures the spirit of what happened next. If at first you don't succeed, try again. In 1307, Robert the Bruce returned to the mainland, but he was a changed man fighting a new kind of war. He abandoned the chivalric set-piece battles of his youth and embraced the ruthless hit-and-run guerrilla tactics he'd learned from his Gaelic heritage. He used the terrain, the loyalty of the common people, and sheer audacity to win a series of small but crucial victories at places like Glen Truel and Loudon Hill. He then turned his fury on his Scottish enemies, the Commons, in a campaign so destructive it became known as the Harrying of Buchan. He systematically destroyed their lands and castles, extinguishing their power forever. By 1309, he controlled all of Scotland north of the River Tay and held his first parliament as king. He was no longer a fugitive, he was a commander, and he was winning. By 1314, only a few key castles remained in English hands, the most important being Stirling. The English governor had made a deal. If an English army didn't relieve him by June 24th, he would surrender. This was a challenge the new English King Edward II could not ignore. He marched north with a massive army, perhaps 20,000 strong, one of the largest ever to invade Scotland. To meet this force, Robert the Bruce gathered a much smaller army of around 6,000 men, mostly tough, disciplined spearmen. He chose his ground carefully, near a stream called the Bannockburn. The fate of Scotland would be decided here. The Battle of Bannockburn raged for 2 days. On the first day, a moment of single combat became legendary. The English knight Sir Henry de Bohun charged directly at the Scottish king. Bruce, armed only with a battle-axe, calmly sidestepped the lance and brought his axe down with such force that it split Bohun's helmet and his head in two. The next day, the main battle began. The massive English army, constrained by the marshy ground Bruce had chosen, couldn't deploy its powerful cavalry or archers effectively. They were trapped. Bruce unleashed his schiltrons, tightly packed formations of men with long spears like giant, angry hedgehogs. The English knights charged again and again, only to be impaled on the wall of Scottish spears. The English army broke, and a panicked King Edward barely escaped with his life. The victory was total. A stunning triumph against impossible odds that secured Scotland's de facto independence. Bannockburn was the military climax, but the war wasn't over. Bruce took the fight to the English, launching devastating raids deep into northern England. He even tried to open a second front by sending his brother to Ireland, promoting a vision of a pan-Gaelic alliance. But his greatest victories now came through diplomacy. In 1320, the Scottish nobles sent a letter to the Pope, a document now known as the Declaration of Arbroath. It was a powerful assertion of Scottish sovereignty, famously stating, "For as long as but 100 of us remain alive, never will we on any conditions be brought under English rule. It is in truth not for glory, nor riches, nor honors that we are fighting, but for freedom, for that alone, which no honest man gives up but with life itself." This masterpiece of political rhetoric eventually worked. The Pope recognized Robert as king of an independent Scotland. Finally, in 1328, the war officially ended with the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton, where England formally renounced all claims to Scotland. After more than 30 years of war, freedom was won. Robert the Bruce died just 1 year later, in 1329, at the age of 54. On his deathbed, he made one last request. Regretting he never went on crusade, he asked that his heart be taken into battle against God's enemies. His loyal captain, Sir James Douglas, carried the king's heart in a silver casket on a campaign in Spain. When surrounded by his enemies, Douglas threw the casket into the fray, shouting, "Lead on, brave heart, I'll follow thee." Douglas was killed, but the heart was recovered and returned to Scotland, where it was buried at Melrose Abbey. Bruce's body was laid to rest in a magnificent tomb at Dunfermline Abbey. Although the tomb was destroyed centuries later, his skeleton was rediscovered in 1818. It revealed a man nearly 6'1", a giant for his time. It also showed that his breastbone had been sawn open, confirming the incredible story of his heart's final journey. Robert the Bruce remains one of history's greatest warrior kings, a national hero who, through cunning, brutality, and an unbreakable will, secured his nation's freedom. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into Scottish history, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of the incredible figures who shaped our world. We'll see you next time. The visuals within this presentation are crafted to enrich your understanding, serving as artistic interpretations and contextual aids rather than direct factual representations. Their purpose is to illuminate the narrative and deepen your engagement with the historical backdrop. Join our growing community of history enthusiasts. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support keeps history alive.